John, your team has had success in this ballpark in the past. Fans travel well here. Just what are your expectations for these next two, potentially 3 games?
I think that it's tough to look back, a while ago, right? Kind of two different teams at two different times, but I've said it all along, man. I like our chances really any day, anywhere against anyone. I think the off day was good for us today to kind of reset, and I think the guys are going to come out knowing exactly what they have to do. Not that we did it in the first 2 games, but it's a 7-game series, and I think they're excited to play here tomorrow.
Go to the second row on your left, John.
Schneider, Jeff talked about in here earlier a lot about this group and about them as people. Just from your perspective, how are they right now, and what has it been like both getting here last night and then coming in today?
Late night, but they're good. It's really, really impressive how they kind of just turned the page to the next day. Not thinking about game 1 or game 2, not thinking about the flight, thinking about what they needed to do today, and they'll be ready to do it tomorrow. I know it sounds like a broken record and it sounds really cliche, but I think that they do a really good job of living in the present moment. We talk about it a lot, and they've had to do it a lot. So I think where they are right now is exactly where they've been, after a couple tough losses and a long travel day.
Is that living in the moment, staying present, something that they've developed over the course of the year, or do you guys just have a lot of guys on your roster that naturally have that kind of personality?
I think a little bit of both. Just going back to earlier in the year, just myself, staff, and players talking about what's important right now. Like what is important now to win. And when you kind of live that out, it becomes part of your day, it becomes part of your process. So it helps that we have guys that can say, let's turn the page, but we talk about it pretty regularly, and when the guys talk about it pretty regularly, it's kind of who you become.
Go to David in the third row, and then we'll go down the line.
Hey, John, you faced Kirby twice last year, no times this year. What kind of challenge does he present?
Similar to all their pitchers, he's got good stuff, good fastball, can locate it up and down. It's a staff that kind of, runs into each other in terms of their profile, in terms of their stuff. So he's going to come after you. I think that looking at these first 2 series, I think they've done a good job of being in the zone, but kind of in safe areas. When you look at ball and play quality, it hasn't been exactly where we wanted to, so I think we just have to be really deliberate and aware of that with him tomorrow and the rest of the series.
And connected to Kirby, Tony's got the most career ABs in that clubhouse against him. What's his status with his back?
Feeling better today. He was available to hit yesterday, so anticipating him being good to go tomorrow. Check in with him later tonight and tomorrow morning, but I think it was kind of one of those things where his back kind of locked up in the morning. Unfortunate, but I think he should be all right.
Mike?
Would this be one of those days that you mentioned earlier that George Springer might be playing the outfield? Would Tony be a DH for you, possibly?
I think just see how he feels really in the morning, and do what we think is best for both of them. So, make that call tomorrow morning.
I was just talking to DeMarlo, and he said he was looking, when he's looking at the players and when he's looking around in the clubhouse, he's looking for normalcy. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, he's seeing it. Is that what or is there anything in particular that you're looking for and hoping to see?
Basically the same thing. We talk about that a lot as a staff, where you're always taking the pulse of your team, whether it's good times or bad times. And you look for them to kind of just do the same thing. When you're playing every day, you want to do the same thing every day. Are there ways to adjust? Yeah, I think so. But that's exactly what I'm looking for. You're looking, even going, getting on the bird last night, you're looking for a certain vibe with the guys, and it was there. And you're looking for a certain, look on their faces, conversations, and it's there. So I think we're all kind of looking for the same thing, and it's been the same all year.
Shy?
John, do you have a plan for Game 4, starting pitching-wise?
Yeah, Max is going to start.
And then you mentioned yesterday about the closeness of the group and the bond and how they enjoy spending time together. When the team finds itself in a situation where you have to claw out of a hole, how might that help this group?
I think that when you have relationships, that are strong and that are genuine and real, it makes it a little bit easier to go out and execute, perform, play for one another. I think that we've done that all year, where we don't really care who gets the recognition, or the guys don't, I should say. Seems to be a different guy almost every night. But I think when you're kind of all playing for the same thing, you're playing for the team. You're not playing for yourself. You're playing for guys you genuinely like and you like to be around. I think it just gives it a little bit more oomph, if you will, to go out there and do it. I couldn't think of a better word than oomph right there, but they want to do it for one another, and that's a genuine thing that doesn't happen very often.
What lessons have you drawn from how you can help replicate this environment and those bonds from being recreated in subsequent years? Like, as you mentioned, you don't see it often. It's unique. It's a bit ephemeral. Like, how can you put that together?
It kind of happens organically. You know what I mean? Not that we're all, we're baseball people as coaches and managers, but I think as baseball people, we're pretty good people. You know what I mean? And you kind of get what is right in this environment. So there's ways to kind of nudge or set up groups to kind of come together, but they got to just do it. You know what I mean? I think it just comes down to the cast of characters that are in there right now in this specific time, and where they are in their careers. It's pretty cool.
Ben, did you have something?
When you guys were up 2-0 against the Yankees, you said you wanted to kind of view it like it was 0-0.
Yeah.
Does that same logic apply here for you guys now that you're down 0-2?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like we get it, right? We get the numbers and all the historical things that have happened when we're in this position. It's a game tomorrow. It's all we can worry about. That's all we're worrying about. It's you get to game 4 when you get to game 4, and you keep on doing that. So harder to do. Say, yeah, we're treating this as game 1, right? We've obviously lost the first 2, but there's really no other way to go about it.
And just back to Santander, when it comes to his back tightness, is that more when he's swinging or throwing, or kind of both?
No, it was more like running, kind of like running around, changing direction, things like that. So throughout the course of this year, he's obviously gotten really good and deliberate with what he does to take care of his body. So I feel like he's in a good spot, a better spot today, and hopefully kind of back to normal tomorrow.
I think we have Mike in the second row.
John, today's the 10th anniversary of the Jose Bautista bat flip homer. Might have happened like right about now. And that home run, while it's huge in the memory of a lot of Blue Jays fans and the biggest Jays homer in the 21st century, it's also a home run that won a series that the Jays lost the first 2 games of at home. I know you're talking about the only thing that's important is game 3, but do you draw anything from that? I mean, dropping the first 2 at home and then coming back to win that series?
Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible. It's baseball. You never know when there's going to be turns in momentum. You never know when momentum or a series can just shift, or hold. You never really know. So I think that it's a 7-game series for a reason, right? If it's a 1-game play-in, we're on vacation right now, but it's not, So there's certain things that you have to just keep, front and center, and you hope for those moments, those moments that come that kind of click, you know what I mean? But I think there's been enough examples, just talking to Hoff, a team that was up 2 a couple years ago with Philly, and losing a series. It's very, very possible to do when you have a really, really good team. So hadn't thought about the bat flip per se, but have definitely thought about the instances to where, this is not a hole you cannot climb out of.
We'll finish up in the second row.
beside the obvious of Max as a future Hall of Famer, multiple times Cy Young, what went into you being able to confirm now that he will start Game 4? Was it not using him, or how his bullpen felt, or what was that?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I think didn't use him kind of where he is physically, and talking to him compared to where he was a month ago, kind of how their lineup will roll out, how we've used our bullpen, how guys in the bullpen are feeling and things like that. And the fact, I think you get the best version out of Max when you're, he prepares. I've talked about him preparing all year. So I think keeping things normal for him, going back to, you want to see normalcy. So you trust that he's going to be prepared and go out and give everything he has and hopefully rise to the occasion of a big moment. You know what I mean? He's a Hall of Famer for a reason. You know what I mean? So it's you feel good about handing him the ball and watching him go to work.
All right, Schneider, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.